passion.
Time! Steph Curry again!
And the seam heads that bleed orange and black.
Good!
This is Sportsphone KNBR. Sponsored by Industrial Metal Supply on the Sports Leader. Check the live stream on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Flores takes it and gets by the catcher. Fitzgerald breaks for the plate and he scores. And that's how the Giants win the game. Amazing. And maybe it was a night where the Giants were going to need a little help. They got it. One strike away from having to go to the 11th inning. And Pierce Johnson tried to throw the perfect curveball to Wilmer Flores. He spiked it in the dirt. It went to the backstop, and Tyler Fitzgerald came streaking home and scored the winning run. Another walk-off win for the Giants. It was not as magical as some of the others, but the Giants will take it.
Welcome in to a late night Friday night Sports Phone KNBR show. I'm Bill Laskey. I'll be hosting the show probably until midnight, a little later than usual tonight, but what a way to win a game by a walk-off wild pitch. Well, the Giants started this homestand having 7 games at Oracle Park, 4 against the Padres, 3 against the Braves, and 5 games have been played, and 3 of them have gone into the extra inning with a ghost runner. Ended up losing 1-0 on Monday. They ended up losing 3-2 on Tuesday. Both those games against the Padres that went into extra innings. And today against the Braves, it came down to the bottom of the 10th inning as Tyler Fitzgerald on a curveball by Pierce Johnson got away the catcher. And Tyler Fitzgerald scores the winning run as the Giants win 5-4. Their 7th walk-off win. They've had walk-off hits. They've had walk-off walks. Tonight, a walk-off wild pitch, something new. But they've got 7 of them. That's the most in Major League Baseball. And they win the game 5-4 to increase their record to 36-28. And there was a lot of exciting things going on in this game. 3 wild pitches, 2 pickoffs, a couple fly ball outs, sacrifice flies, 1 home run. There was a lot on the offense, but there was a lot on that pitching side too, as both sides pitched pretty well in this game, and a couple of them coming out of the bullpen. And, everybody talks about one guy or 2 guys, and I want to really just talk about one guy today because he bounced back extremely well today, and that was Camilo Doval. He came in the top of the 9th inning, had Riley, Olsen, and Asuna up. The 3 middle guys, 2, 3, 4, and he put a show on. Struck all of them out. Sliders, fastballs, 101-mile-an-hour cutter. He walked off that mound with that pride he had, because you remember what happened in San Diego. He scuffled one game, ended up really getting a loss for the Giants, but today he had that charisma back. Loved what he did when he struck out Asuna, the old little horse kick. We all know he has horses back in Dominican, and I love that little expression he gives, emotion. He pumps his fist once in a while, but that's what we want to see out of Camilo Doval. Tonight, Tyler Rogers once again was stellar coming in the 8th inning. He threw 11 pitches, 9 for strikes, a 1-2-3 inning. Eric Miller and Bivens cleaned it up, but there was a little trouble in that 10th inning. Bivens came in. He had a 2-1 count, brought it back to 3-2. And the play of the night, I really believe, the slow roller that Matt Chapman picked up and just fired over to first base. And Schmidt was there to pick it, and the game was over. And that was really the side of the defensive side that really helped the Giants. Of course, they scored in the bottom of the 10th. But I thought that was the play that really kind of turned it over because it was bases loaded, and you had a ghost runner at third, and the Giants prevailed and stopped it. It didn't look pretty in the bottom of the 10th inning when Ramos swung at the first pitch, hit a ground ball at third. Jung-Hoo Lee hit a grounder to second, and Wilmer Flores was up, and Pierce Johnson was just throwing heavy curveballs, sharp curveballs. He finally threw one in the dirt, and it got by the catcher, and the winning run scored. So I say this, you got to take the bad with the good with the bad, right? So a couple losses at 10 innings earlier in the week, and now you got a 3-game winning streak as they win the first game of a 3-game series against the Atlanta Braves, who really are struggling. And this is a team that's got one hell of a batting order. It's guys that are up and down this order that are just fierce hitters. And they lost a tough one yesterday. They were up 10-4 against the Arizona Diamondbacks, and Diamondbacks came back and won that game 11-10. All those runs coming in the top of the ninth inning, and they had to travel from Atlanta to San Francisco, losing 4 in a row. They lost to Boston on Sunday, and they lost 3 straight to the Diamondbacks, and here they are now 5 in a row, and you just don't know where this Braves team is going. The offense isn't there. It's not as good as it used to be, but they're lined up 1 through 9, and they have some talent. Tomorrow, Logan Webb's going to see what he can do against this team, against Bryce Elder, 2 right-handers going at each other. And Logan Webb threw a gem his last game, if you remember, San Diego, where he went 8 innings, 6-6, no earned runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts, and he piled up numbers that day. He was dialed in. So today we're going to talk about this game, 808 KNBR, if you want to get on the phone lines, 415 area code. Hayden Birdsong we'll talk a little bit about. Tristan Beck, the whole bullpen, talk a little bit about them and dissect them. But we're going to take a quick break, come back with more. Let's get the phone lines ringing. Steve Kroner is going to join me later in the show. Late night Kroner is going to be up, I hope. And we'll talk more Giants baseball as we continue right here on Sportsphone KNBR with Bill Laskey. Coming up more right here on The Leader.
We want your reaction, so give us a ring or blow up the text line at 415-808-KNBR. This is Sportsphone KNBR, streaming live at twitch.tv/thesportsleader.
Nothing score. Wilmer blooms one. Shallow right. Falling. Base hit right along the line. Ramos scores around the third. Jung-Hoo Lee on a blue RBI single by Wilmer Flores. 1-0 Giants. 3 straight hits for the Giants to start off the night.
All right, welcome back to a Friday edition of Sportsphone KNBR with the big right-hander, Bill Laskey, taking the reins here until midnight. Giants win today 5-4 in a walk-off wild pitch. They increased their record at home now to 20 wins and 11 losses, 16 and 17 on the road. And one-run games, they're 14 and 12. At home, though, this is really cool, 11 and 6 one-run games at Oracle Park. Good number right there. Overall, just a good number continue. They've got a 3-game win streak. Again, playing Atlanta for 2 more games. Logan Webb on the hill, then Landon Roop will take the Sunday game. Then they have Monday off, traveling to Colorado for 3, and then they play the Dodgers next weekend for 3 games in L.A. If you remember, if you were listening to the Extra Inning postgame show on Sunday, I talked about the player who they picked up, Dominic Smith, who I really felt fit this team extremely well. He was hitting .385 for the Columbus Clippers. He took his release, and this is a guy that had a lot of experience in the big leagues. He really didn't play regularly, but he played some left field. But I thought he was a tremendous first baseman, and watching him in the first 3 games, he can play some first base. He has good range. I love how he lobs the ball to the pitchers covering first base. The play he made against the net today, threw his body into the net, caught the fly ball, always communicating on the field. I really love this about this new player the Giants have. And on the other side, when you hit .385 in AAA, everybody says, but Bill, he's a AAA. But I look at it a different way. You make contact at .385. You're putting the ball in play at .385. This is what he's done, and today he came up with 2 opportunities with runners on third with less than 2 outs and got 2 sac flies out of it. Just good all-around baseball from Dominic Smith. And, oh, by the way, he's been here for 3 games, and they won all 3. So a good pickup by Buster Posey and a good job by Bob Melvin getting him in the lineup. Giants, again, win 5-4 today, 36 and 28. 415-808-KNBR if you want to get on the phone lines. Let's go up to Oregon and talk to Craig. Craig, how you doing tonight on a Friday?
Well, good evening, my big man. Thank you for taking my call. I'm doing well.
How are you today?
Yeah,
Good.
excellent.
Good game today?
Look,
What did you think of this game?
I just want to throw this. I just want to throw this out here. You know, everybody's kind of like, oh, the Giants didn't do enough moves. They couldn't, compete with the Dodgers and all this stuff with the off season and this and that. And there's just under 100 games to play. What did we just pass that? What is there, like 98 games to play or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
And they're 2 games back. It's anybody's
Exactly.
division. People have got to remember that. And also,
I think everybody's happy right now, Greg. I mean, people want to scream and holler when they lose 1-0 and 3-2, and had that earlier part of the week. And the 2 games they played against San Diego, they battled in both those wins. And tonight, they come out to an early lead. The home run by Ryan Walker gets them into an even position. But just to fight and claw back and somehow, some way win this game. And it was just a positive again for the Giants in this homestand.
Exactly, and it's awkward, some of these situations the Giants are in. They're fighting, as you said, and they've got pitching. That's the big difference. And I think what we're frustrated with as fans is when the offense doesn't reward the pitching with their excellent outings. But let's get past that. And I want to go back to what you were talking about earlier with Dominic Smith. He doesn't look like a typical first baseman, but the guy is smooth, and he's making plays, and he's out there doing it. And we needed something from that position badly.
Well, last week,
I'm
I don't
really
know, Craig,
happy
if you
to
were
see some
listening
production
on Sunday, it came through the wire that he took his release. And I started looking up his numbers before I got on the show. I looked at his big league numbers, had 34 home runs. He played in New York. He played in Cincinnati. He played in different areas that it was big league ballparks. He knew the NL East. That was one big thing that I was thinking about. He knows the Mets. He knows the Braves. He knows the East. And I just thought about, here's a guy that 29 years old, still young, still got a lot of life in him. And I said, here's your layup, Buster. Here you go. This was a guy that was waiting for someone to call him to give him a shot. And at that time, Lamont Wade Jr. was just falling farther and farther back. And the Giants lose 1-0 on Monday. They make all these changes Tuesday after they lose another heartbreaker. And Johnson also, a guy that's been running around the outfield, made his tremendous catch the first game he was in. A couple of pickups definitely brought some life to the offense. And no question, Dominic Smith is that guy they need in between 2 right-handers. And I think Buster's used him very well in the batting order.
Well, and I want to add to that, Bill, if you don't mind, that,
Sure.
he's a former first-round draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just pick guys in the first round and not know that they got something going for them. But sometimes it takes a little while. And, I'm a little past 29, Bill, but,
when you start getting thrown around, though, Craig, when you're going to minor leagues and you're going back to the big leagues, you're getting a shot here, you're not getting a shot here. It gets frustrating. And when you start hitting 30, 32, 34, and you're like, oh, they're still young. But not in a baseball world. In the baseball world, when you start shuffling around and you can go in your locker and you have 6 different shirts of 6 different teams, it's not good. So you have to get stable. And what he's done here now, sure, Bryce Eldridge is tearing it up in AAA, hit a grand slam yesterday, but he's not going to come up here yet. This is a good fit for them, for a veteran first baseman, left-handed on top of it. And his glove, I just love that big glove he wears. And he's a first baseman, where Lamont Wade Jr. was an outfielder transferring to first base. Casey Schmidt's an infielder transferring to first base. Now the Giants have a solid, regular first baseman.
Yeah, and they've been missing the right amount of left-handed bats. Am I wrong?
Yes.
This has been a situation
totally right.
Where, they've been challenged. And their splits between left and right-handed pitchers are, oh boy, they're significant.
It's a big split. I'll tell you the numbers. They're 30 and 16 against right-handers and 6 and 12 against left-handers. Now they pinch hit for him when the lefty came in for Dylan Lee, which was a good move. Casey Schmidt's going to play Sunday. Bob Melvin already said that Willie Adames is going to get a couple days off, and I think that's a good move. But you got to look at what Adames has done on the defensive side. I think he has just come up with some great plays up the middle, the backhand, throwing across the field. I mean, this guy's not all worried about his hitting. Sure, it's on a Mendoza line, but still, he is putting his effort in every day. I was up there this week, early batting practice, working on different things. And Matt Chapman said it yesterday on a postgame show. He's coming. He's going to get here. It's just going to take some more time. And I think so, too. Don't you?
You hit it, Bill. You hit it right on the nail. And I'm going to tell you something about that. I would take that contract all day long just for his off-the-field antics when he runs in and the way he is in the dugout and how he's just being supportive to the rest of the team. He's amazing. Yeah. He's like a Hunter Pence.
He's got life. He's bringing life to the dugout.
Yeah.
Even when
he's
Tyler
fiery.
Fitzgerald was running down the line, they showed the dugout, and he was first one coming out, and Encarnacion was following him. I mean, he's the life of the team. He wants to bring that energy, and we just got to give him a little more breathing time with the bat.
Yeah, exactly. But he's also, the part of that is that he's very focused and he is paying attention. And those guys turn it around.
And he's working hard, no question. Craig, I got to run. I got a couple other calls coming in. Let's catch up. I'll be on all weekend if you want to buzz me on the Extra Inning post-game show. Let's go out to Pleasanton and talk to Jim. Jim, you're on Sportsphone KNBR with a big right-hander, Bill Laskey. How are you?
Oh, great. I'm going to the game tomorrow. Going to see Webb pitch. That's a big upper for the weekend. And
boy, I tell you, his last outing against San Diego, he was right back to form. Boy, he was nasty.
It's a shame that he didn't get the win, out of that game.
Well, there's been a few like that. I look at Robbie Ray's game 1-0, and you look at Logan Webb's 1-0, and you're scratching your head going, and he didn't even give up a run. He left a game with no runs on the board.
I mean, the pitching has been there. I mean, it's solid. It's like a rock. And I look at Duvall and Rodriguez, and the two of them are interchangeable. I mean, they both throw over 100 miles.
And you throw Tyler Rogers in there, too. Throw Tyler Rogers in there with that speed, and you mix everybody up.
You put Tyler Rogers in between those two guys, and the batters don't know what the hell to do.
I tell you, Tyler today, he was dialed. He was nasty today. Threw 11 pitches, 9 for strikes, has a nice 1-2-3 inning.
Yeah.
How about Camillo today? Camillo came in and punched out 2, 3, 4 in their lineup. 2, 3, 4. Riley, Olson, and Asuna. He punched 3 out in the top of the ninth. That was awesome.
It doesn't get any better. I mean, than that. It's what can you do? I mean, but I think something happened today. Lucky the Irish. It was the Irish Festival out there tonight.
Hey, I like that one. Jim, I like it. It was Irish night out there. It was Irish Heritage Night. Good one. I like it.
Right.
I might have to use that this weekend.
Pride Day. So we got a lot of good things going for us.
We got a lot of parties going on at Oracle.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy the game tomorrow, Jim. Give me a holler tomorrow at the Extra Inning post-game show. Tell me what you saw. I appreciate it.
Sure will.
All right, let's go out to Sky. Sky was at the game today. Was it exciting for you when they won?
It was such a great game. It was action-packed right from the beginning, and it was so nice to see the Giants take advantage of opportunities with runners on base. It's been a pain point for them in the past, and just right out of the gate, getting 3 runs on the board made such a big difference.
Oh, that was really nice. And the other thing, too, Sky, the Braves are the best in Major League Baseball with only 23 errors, and they committed 2 in the first inning, which is very unusual for the Braves.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And it was great, like you said, Dominic Smith, to see the young guys. Also Fitzgerald getting redemption in the bottom of the 10th after getting thrown out in the bottom of the 9th, and he gets to score the winning run. And like you mentioned, the sacrifice flies from Smith. Like, it was just great to see them play with energy, and then also Chapman's experience at third base. Like, it was a great day to be at the ballpark, and Fans were really engaged.
There was a lot of
It was
good
such a
defense,
event.
didn't you think, Sky? That it wasn't just Chapman
Yeah.
at third. There was some great defense all around. Yastrzemski bailed out Jung-Hoo Lee, who lost the ball in the lights, and Yaz comes
Yep.
over from right field and catches it. The defense from Fitzgerald on some of the quick runners from the Braves, Adames, Chapman, the infield just played spectacular. And I'm still going to go back to Dominic Smith when he gets the ball and he just kind of lobs the ball to the pitcher before they even get into the bag. That's huge. I pitched for many years, and you want to see the ball so you can see the ball and hit the base, not bang plays because you're usually with your foot reaching for the bag. I loved how he did that. He presented the ball and tossed it to the pitcher. This is a big plus, not just on the hitting side, but Dominic Smith's a very good first baseman.
I totally agree. And when he made that awesome catch, he was still mentally in the game and made that throw to first, right? Being heads up, keeping that runner contained, not overthrowing the ball. He didn't get the out, but like that's what we want to see. Is that kind of focus.
Exactly.
And yeah. And
I'll throw this one out to you, Sky. What do you think happened to Hayden Birdsong in that inning? It was in the fourth inning, hit by pitch, walk. He just kind of fell off the cliff there for the first three hitters.
Yeah, I think my dad and I were talking about this sitting there. I think he just got tired, right? He's a young kid. He was saying that he tends to get pulled at 90 pitches. He was approaching 90 pitches. I think he was just done. I mean, it happens. It also seems like good experience for him to learn how to stay focused and try to get out of a jam. And he didn't give up a long ball, so that's great to see. I thought he pitched really well, and he was just done.
Yeah, his first three innings. The first three innings, he was lights out. The fourth inning, he hit Olsen with the curveball on his back foot. And then next thing you know, it was 3-1. He walks Asuna. He walks Albies on 4 pitches that weren't even close. And I was watching the game. I thought he was rushing a little bit. He was trying to overthrow the curveball. He messed up on that, and then he couldn't get in the zone with the fastball. It was just kind of a mental breakdown for him where he just kind of lost control of all his pitches.
Yeah, that makes sense. And maybe if he can be a little more efficient in those early innings, that would help him out a lot. So, yeah, hopefully we can see that in the future.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, you're going to struggle. There's no way you're going to go 25 to 30 starts and not struggle for a couple of them. This was really one of the first blocks he had. If you remember, in Miami, he went 5 1/3. He only gave up 1 earned run. Detroit, he went 4 1/3, gave up 3. He pitched great against Kansas City. That's his 4th start of the year. So he's starting to go through it a little bit harder. He had a few walks today, which he didn't. He had 5 walks today. He didn't have that many walks so far. That's the most he's had, and he had a hit by pitch. So I think that's probably what he's going to look at the drawing board tomorrow and find out why he had so many walks and why he didn't stay in the strike zone a little longer.
Yeah, that makes sense. One other thing
I'm glad I'm making sense tonight.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up outfield defense.
Well, I'm losing you, Sky. I appreciate the call. I'm losing you, Sky. I can barely hear you now, but it was great talking to you. Call in. I'll be on all weekend, so we'll talk a little bit more baseball. I'm glad you enjoyed the game with your dad, and I'm glad they got the win for both of you. So have a good rest of the night. I appreciate your time. Let's go out to Berkeley and talk to Andrea. Andrea, you're up late tonight on a Friday.
Oh, I'm a night owl. This is early for me.
This is when you wake up. I know your time.
Exactly. Yes, just coming into form around this hour. So
how are you, Andrea? How's your week been?
Good. This was just a perfect way to start the weekend. I got to tell you, the baseball gods and goddesses have quite a sense of humor and a walk-off wild pitch. Just when you think you've seen it all.
A walk-off walk, a walk-off base hit, and a walk-off wild pitch. Just what the Giants needed, though, I tell you. After they battled and lost the lead, and they just looked like they were troubled in the middle of the innings. I mean, a starting pitcher gets 9 in a row before finally a base hit by Flores, and they just were stuck. And then finally, Chapman hits a double, and Dominic Smith hits another fly ball, and they added a run. But, Ryan Walker hung a slider to Olsen, and he knocked it out of the yard, and the game changed completely.
Yeah, and, I'm a big Birdsong fan, so, no one's perfect, even Virgos, and had a little bit of a rough patch. But, August 30th, 2001, he weathered through, and the rest of the team picked him up. And speaking of which, really nice to see Duval back in the closer role. I feel a lot more confident about him being in the closer role. And I looked up his chart, July 4, 1997. So he's 27, going to have a Saturn return.
I thought today he had a little more fire. I thought against the Padres he looked like he was a little, hesitant on making pitches. He kind of overthrew a couple pitches trying to make the perfect pitch. Today he just went out there. He threw a couple pitches right across the plate, got away with it. But when he had to go shut it down, 3 punch-outs in that 9th inning, that was very impressive.
Yeah, it's like they make it look easy, the 9th inning. I remember back in the day, I don't remember such exciting 9th inning baseball of walk-off wins, walk-off walks, walk-off wild pitches. This is really quite a flair and really exciting baseball to be watching.
Andrea, you've watched a lot of games, Andrea. You watched it. We go back when you and your brother was watching the Mets. And baseball's turned a little bit in these 10th innings with the ghost runner.
Yeah.
I talked to my producer, Kyle, and we're going back and forth. And I said, this is Major League Baseball. You go 9 innings, it's 4-4. You end up winning a game on a fly ball to right field and a wild pitch. Not even a hit. The Giants lost the game earlier like that. Nobody even got a hit and they lose. I don't like it because they should push it out a little further to make the 10th and 11th inning like normal baseball. If we're worried about going home after 3 hours, why go to the game? These are good, exciting games. That's why you go into extra innings.
I think your point is well taken. I mean, I'm old school. I believe you have to earn your bases, plain and simple. You don't get
so Andrea, you win the game. Andrea, you win the game and you don't even get a hit. Think about that. You win a big league game without getting up a hit. And the guy, Pierce Johnson, gets the loss, and it's an unearned run. It's just, I just don't like it. I don't like it. And somehow, some way, a lot of fans don't like it either.
Yeah, I mean, you got to earn your keep and earn the bases. I mean, I got used to the pitch clock in all fairness. Took a little getting used to, but I did.
Yeah.
But the walk-off, in the Ghost
Something's
Runner,
there.
I just don't like the Ghost Runner. I mean, that's permanent? It's already been decided in?
Yeah, I just don't know how many years it's going to be in. I'm sure. I mean, some of the players like it. Players just love it because they get the game over, and that's what everybody's doing.
Right.
You'll never forget Barry Bonds when he went into extra innings. He goes, "Get the game over. I don't get paid for overtime." I love that line, But somehow, some way, they have to push it back a little bit, make it a little more interesting in the 10th and 11th inning, and maybe in the 12th inning if it gets there, then you put your Ghost Runner in.
Yes, that's a good point. I would agree with that. Yes.
So what did you think about this whole homestand? 2 good games against the Padres after they lose the first 2 in extra innings. It was 2 good, exciting games against the Padres to even that 4-game series, Andrea.
Yeah, no, I thought that was excellent. The Padres, they're, very competitive and in the division, and, it's good to beat that type of team. And, just to gain the momentum. I mean, it's early June, so show them who's boss. Beat the teams you need to beat, basically.
I agree.
Yeah,
well, you got, if you can take 2 out of 3 against the Braves, that's a good series win, and you move forward to Colorado and L.A. But you know what, Andrea, I'll be on all weekend. Extra innings will be on tomorrow. I got a couple good guests. Leo Mazzone, who was the old Atlanta Braves pitching coach, and I caught up with Gregor Blanco. It's a great interview, so looking forward to throwing those on the extra inning post-game show. Andrea, thanks for the call. Looking always forward to talking to you down the road.
Yes, thanks for your shows, Bill. Thank you.
All right, Andrea. Thank you. All right, coming up next, I'm going to sit down and talk Steve Kroner. He was watching the game along as the way the game was going on, so we're going to get some insight on him as we continue on the Friday night show right here with a big right-hander, Bill Laskey, on Sportsphone KNBR.
This is Sportsphone KNBR. Dial the digits or send us a text at 415-808-KNBR. We're streaming on YouTube all damn day at KNBR 1045.
All right, back on Sportsphone KNBR on a late night Friday with Bill Laskey. Giants pull one out in the bottom of the 10th on a walk-off wild pitch. Tyler Fitzgerald scores the winning run. Spencer Bivens gets the win. He's 2-2. Pierce Johnson for the Braves loses. He's 1-2, and now the Braves have lost 5 in a row. Where on the other side, the Orange and Black have won 3 in a row. All right, my guest today, we always talk to him on a Friday night. I call him Late Night Steve Kroner. He also writes for Associated Press, does a great job with Baseball America with minor leaguers. Let's bring in my good friend Steve. Steve, how are you tonight?
Bill, I'm doing all right. How are you, sir?
I guess your golf game was pretty good today. I've heard some reports about that.
It was on most network sports shows, I think. But, yeah, we had our Alpo, the annual Lincoln Park Open, and your producer Kyle Haar was in a group as well. But, yeah, our group, I'll shout out my teammates of Kevin Cronin and Dave Pullman and Darryl Steinberg. We finished tied for 3rd out of 11th. And I'm sure everyone listening to the show is very happy about that.
Well, I'm glad you're continuing to do that. Golf tournaments are fun, and it's always a regular thing if you can pull them off, and you did it again. And I've heard a lot of good things, again, about Steve, and I just want to appreciate what you do. It's a lot of work.
It does get to be a little bit of a hassle at times, but it is fun, and we do make a donation, too, to the First Tee of San Francisco to just do a little bit for the rest of the community, so to speak, while we're having a good time. So I enjoyed it.
Well, let's take a look at this game today. A walk-off wild pitch. The Giants were scuffling in that bottom of the 10th inning. A ground ball by Ramos, a ground ball by Jung-Hoo Lee, and here's Tyler Fitzgerald at third base. And Wilmer Flores is up, the one who's got 48 RBIs. It just didn't look too good for Wilmer. And then all of a sudden, Pierce Johnson wanted to throw a little harder curveball, and it kind of skipped on him and got by the catcher, and there you go, the 7th walk-off win by the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, Bill, I heard you talking earlier about – I agree with you. I am not a fan of the placed runner. I don't think that's the way baseball should be played. A good buddy of mine who played in the Alpo today, Greg Frediani, once the game gets to extra innings, he will not watch. If he's at the ballpark, he will leave. I'm not quite that adamant about it, but you look at Ryan Walker on Monday night. He had a 3-up, 3-down inning, and he took the loss. That to me, that's just not baseball. But the Giants took advantage of the rules.
It frustrates me. I tell you why. I tell you why, Steve. It frustrates me as a pitcher and an ex-pitcher, and watching the games and watching relievers. You're giving the opposition a runner on second base, and most of the time those runners score with no hits. They usually do. If they get them over to third, fly ball gets them in. Today, a wild pitch gets them in. So you go home tonight and you take the loss, and you didn't give up a hit. That just doesn't make sense to me at the big league level.
I completely echo that sentiment. I mean, when it was instituted in 2020 during the height of COVID, all the things they instituted at that time, you're fine. You just get something out on the field and whatever you have to, the 7-inning doubleheaders, all that stuff. At that time, none of that bothered me. But once, thankfully there are no 7-inning doubleheaders anymore. I just don't get why you have to have the placed runner. And I think your thought about having at least 2 innings of real baseball before you go to it is really good, because you can compare it to hockey, where hockey does have the shootout, but it first has at least, I'm not a big hockey guy, but it's 5 minutes of regular hockey with one fewer player on each side. But it's not, the shootout, which in some sense is what baseball has done with extra innings. I just don't think the history of the game, the way the game is supposed to be played, is doing this does a service to that. It does a disservice to, particularly as you say, Bill, the relief pitchers who pitch well and wind up taking a loss, oftentimes without giving up a hit.
Yeah. Steve Kroner joining me on Sportsphone KNBR. You can follow him on X at Steve Kroner SF. There was something that happened in a game today, Steve, and it was a play at the plate where a Sooner was sliding in on a play coming in, and a fan threw a baseball on the field and almost hit Andy Fletcher, the home plate umpire, and it bounced on the field. It's something that fans don't understand, that there's so many ways of players, umpires getting hurt by something like that. It happens a lot in Major League Baseball. It happens a lot in minor league baseball, but there has to be something that can protect the players and the umpires. What do you think they could do?
Yeah, I don't know. The only thing I can say is if there's video all over the ballpark, whoever made that completely bonehead decision to do that, to me, not only ought to be banned from the park for a year, 2 years, maybe forever. To me, that it's out of the question. I think that could be some kind of legal issue. It's beyond stupidity. I mean, to think that you're going to throw a baseball on the field in the middle of a play is it's ludicrous. And the only thing I can say, there's got to be some kind of recrimination for the moron who did it.
You know, we see it a lot, Steve, when guys hit home runs where the opposition takes the ball and throws it on the infield, or they take the home run ball, they switch the ball, and they throw it in.
Switch the ball, right.
We've been doing that for many, many years, but that's totally different than what happened tonight.
Absolutely, right. I'm still not in favor of that, but that is obviously much less of an issue than what happened tonight. What happened tonight, that can't happen. It's one of those things, too, where both just from the game itself standpoint and, heaven forbid, a player or an umpire or a coach gets hit by the ball or does something to avoid getting hit by the ball that causes an injury, that thing really could have been a lot worse. I just don't understand the motivation of anyone trying to do something like that.
Well, let's change it up a little bit, talk a little positive baseball today, and I think the move when they ended up getting DFA'd Lamont Wade Jr. and they brought in Dominic Smith. I talked to him last Sunday talked about him on the Extra Inning postgame show when I saw that he asked for his release, and I was looking up his numbers, and I remembered him with the Mets. I remembered him playing left field. I think he dropped a ball in a game, but I remembered how good of a first baseman he was. And that's the first thing I thought. And then I looked at his numbers in AAA, and he hit 385. And the first thing I thought of is, I'm not looking at the average. I'm looking at a guy that made contact, because that's what they didn't have. Lamont Wade Jr. struck out too much. There wasn't a lot of contact or even balls that could help the club when he was hitting. The change happened. Dominic Smith comes in here. They win 3 straight games. And I love what Bob Melvin did is put him between Chapman and Adames. And I think that's a big plus. Look what he does today. Comes up with runners on third, less than 2 outs, and drives them both in with 2 sac flies. He's done everything and more so far that we've seen in Dominic Smith in 3 games.
And don't forget, Bill, the play he made up against the netting in foul territory between first base and the right field corner. That was a hell of a play. He's been really good defensively for 3 games. Obviously, let's temper it a little bit. It's been only 3 games, but both at the plate and in the field, Dominic, he's done pretty damn well.
When you look at the defense today, I really go, to what Willy Adames is not doing at the plate, he's doing in the field, and he has made some really nice plays today. A couple real nice ones where he caught it going up the middle and then making a quick turnaround and throwing to first base. He has really shined at the defensive side. Fitzgerald also on a couple in-between hops catching Albies a couple times at second base. And, of course, Matt Chapman with bases loaded and 2 outs. That was just one hell of a play he made when Spencer Bivens got that little ground ball that finished up the top of the 10th.
Yeah, but we've talked often about Matt Chapman, and that's another play that I don't think people realize how tough a play that was. It's a 3-2 count, so the runners are going. He's got to charge, but he can't charge completely because he's got the runner coming right by him. And to set himself and then make that throw, that is a really big time play. In a lot of ways, the game was won on the wild pitch. But you can make a case the game was won on Matt Chapman's throw to first base in the top of the inning.
Oh, I totally agree with you. It's just been shining, in the pregame show, NBC had Rich Aurelio was on the infield talking to Willie Adames and Matt Chapman, and they're going to play it pretty much probably during the week or little parts of it. But I love what Richie asked him. He said, how do you guys feel playing together? How do you guys maneuver together? And Matt Chapman says, hey, I'm going after everything. And Willie Adames, and the next answer was like, I used to do that. Back in my earlier organizations, I had to go get those balls. He said, this guy is amazing on where he can pick up a ball and throw it. And they helped each other with, signs, verbal signs, and knowing when a off-speed pitch is coming or a breaking ball, because Matt Chapman plays so deep. But what I loved about Rich Aurelio, he was a shortstop. He understands what's going on the left side of the infield, and he was stellar. And Richie's good at doing stuff, and I hope they do more of that.
Yeah, I didn't hear the interview. I did hear them talking about it. And I think you really hit on one thing, Bill, with Chapman. Because he's got such a great arm, he can play as deep as any third baseman plays, and that enables him to cover more ground, too, because you get a better angle the deeper you play. And obviously that does make Willie Adames' job a little bit easier when you got a third baseman who can cover so much ground.
You remember, I go back in time with, Jose Uribe and Robbie Thompson up the middle, and I always thought those guys had a good combination. I'm starting to feel a little bit more with Adames and Fitzgerald up the middle, too, and how they play. A couple backhand plays, a couple, quick throws here and there, a nice double play to end the game the other day. Just things like that. I'm watching them be a little more comfortable with each other.
Yeah, you got to remember, too, but this is really Fitzgerald's first full season playing second base. So, I think he would say, look, I've watched Giants baseball for, dare I say, just about 6 decades, and you can make a case that defensively, not necessarily, certainly Jose Uribe was not a great offensive player, but you can make a case that just in terms of defense, Jose Uribe, Robbie Thompson might be as good as it's gotten in San Francisco in the past 6 decades. So it's not quite, I don't think it's quite there with Adames and Fitzgerald, but I think the potential is there. They're both really good athletes, which I think is certainly something to take into account there. And I think the good thing too is they haven't played together, obviously, for a long time. The more they play together, you think the better they'll become as well.
Well, give me your outlook for Logan Webb tomorrow. He pitched a gem against the Padres. This is a good time where they could take 2 out of 3 from the Braves and even push it even more if they can win 3 out of 3. Spencer Strider throwing Sunday. He has not looked like he has. And tomorrow, Bryce Elder, another right-hander. He's been struggling. They got a couple right-handers right now. Tonight's best pitcher. They got through him, but the next 2 outings, they could possibly sweep the Braves.
It's funny. I heard people talking last week, that the Giants were having this really tough homestand because they were playing San Diego and Atlanta. And look, San Diego is a very good team. The Giants splitting against San Diego, there's no reason to hang your head on that. That's solid. But as they say, this is not your dad's or your grandpa's or your uncle's Atlanta Braves team. This is an Atlanta Braves team that's struggling. The Giants should take 2 out of 3 from them. And if Logan Webb is as good as he was Monday night, tomorrow, they got a really good chance of winning tomorrow, and then you take your chances on Sunday. Look, as tough as San Diego is and was in those 4 games, yeah, to be honest, this is not the great Braves team we've seen over the past few years. This is a team right now. The Giants are a better team than they are, and they ought to win the series at least at home.
Well, they lost 5 in a row, so let's continue to mount the attack against the Braves team that's struggling because and I do, this team can hit real quick and they can score a lot of runs. But, Steve, thanks again for staying up. I appreciate your time. Once again, Mr. Late Night Croner.
Bill, I know I put a lot of people to sleep. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate your time. All right, we're going to wrap up Sportsphone KNBR tonight. The Giants win 5-4. They're now 36-28. Tomorrow, 1:05, first pitch right here on KNBR Logan Webb takes the hill for the Giants. He's 5-5 with a 2.55 earned run average, going against Bryce Elder, a right-hander, 26 years old, 2-3 with a 4.5 earned run average. Right after the game, join me on the Extra Inning post-game show Saturday and Sunday. Tomorrow, got a couple great guests. Leo Mazzone, of course, he was the pitching coach back when the Atlanta Braves won the World Series. Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, two great pitchers. John Smoltz, he had them all. And I sat down with him earlier in the week, and we talked Braves baseball back then. And one of the best pitching coaches I ever had, Leo Mazzone. My other interview was a good one, Gregor Blanco. Gregor was a man of many talents. He started off with the Braves for a few years, came over with the Giants. Of course, he was on the World Series team 2012 and 2014. And we talk about that Matt Cain perfect game and that catch he made. But there's a couple other things that happened in that game with Gregor Blanco. You'll have to wait and listen to that tomorrow. For Bill Laskey, have a great rest of the night. Giants win again tonight, 5-4. They'll be back at it right here on KNBR at 105. I want to thank Kyle Harb producing the show, as well as my good friend Steve Croner joining me. For KNBR, it's coming up next. More and more right here on The Leader.